So which actress dumped her husband because he didn't want kids? The answer is Renée Zellweger.
OK, don't date if you won't, you know. Should any man thinking about going out with a woman in her late 30s, early 40s be ready to start a family pretty much straight away, even if he doesn't feel ready to clutter up the planet with more sprogs? It's a dilemma. It's a dilemma affecting more and more couples as we leave it later in life to have children. Fertility, as we all know, tails off dramatically for women as they approach the big 40. So if you fall in love age 39, should you be ready to throw away your pills, ditch the diaphragm? Yes. But what if he's not ready? Do you risk waiting around until he comes round to the idea? What if that never happens, or doesn't happen until after your clock has struck midnight? Or is it better to ditch him at the first opportunity and find someone more in tune with your needs? Now, Mariella Frostrup dealt with just this problem in her agony column in The Observer at the weekend. A letter writer, aged 42, had found out her partner of 2 years didn't want children, and she couldn't decide whether to hang on in there and hope he'd changed his mind, or ditch him, as Mariella sensitively suggested. She said, if you don't share the same values on such an important subject, it can't be a perfect relationship. Is that slightly unfair on the man? Or are men who aren't sympathetic to a woman's needs at this stage in her life not worth having anyway? Should guys... Is this too heavy for you?
No, no, it's not heavy. My brain hurts.
Should guys be prepared to start a family out of love for her, even if they don't want to be a dad themselves? That's the question. What do we think? Mark?
I don't know what I think. I mean, do young men know that women have a biological clock?
Yeah, they must.
How much do we know? How much does society know? I mean, I was brought up through this, you know, the late 60s and the 70s, and all this stuff was always thrown at us, but I don't know how much people know this stuff. So if young lads don't know that, they should know it.
Well, they're not going to be... Let's say they're roughly the same age as their partner, so this isn't always the case. Let's say, you know, bloke of 39, woman of 39, he's not, you know, he's got to wise up to this.
Yes, I'd say you have to wise up to the... You know, there's possibly a likelihood...
Right.
Yeah, that this could move forward and kids might be part of the equation. I mean, I think, personally, people are leaving it a little bit late to have kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would even start a family at 40 and spend that 10 years of, you know, no sleeping and at that age. I don't know. I think we should be looking at it a bit younger anyway. But it was through the 80s and everyone having careers before kids.
But if you're in that situation...
If you're in that situation...
There's a burden of responsibility on the guys,
There sure is.
Isn't there?
Lots of... Yeah, on both people. Because they're bringing a young child into the world. Now, do you want it or don't you? Are you going to be kind to it, love it, and make sure it doesn't run around being cruel to frogs? You know, are you going to put the time in? Is that what you want to do? Well, if you want to, yes, and if not, leave each other.
I do find it fascinating, because within my own social group, I know of women who waited for their man to come round to the idea, missed the boat. I know women who've dumped their partners because he wasn't coming round to the idea and got impregnated by the first person they could. So I know it's out there, and people are going through this. Gail, what do you think?
I agree with you. I think if they can't agree with each other about who wants children at what time, then they shouldn't be together at all.
But that's... Because of the timing, it's...
But if they're not right and he's worried about timing and she's worried about timing, it's not going to work.
But the difference is the guy can... If he only thinks about himself, he can say, well, I'll wait till I'm 60. But if you're in a relationship with a woman of 39, 40, it's not... You've got to be aware of her.
But then he's not thinking about her, so then there's a problem in the relationship anyway if he's not...
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with thinking about your partner, is there?
No, you were thinking about yourself. Not yourself. I'm not saying it was you or your partner. I'm not saying...
Stop pointing.
Just turn it off.
Sit on your hands.
Stop pointing, Gail. Well, you know, there's science out there and there's adoption and sperm banks and...
Okay, yeah, that's true, I suppose.
You know.
Get knocked up by somebody else.
Yeah, or you could preserve your partner's sperm and...
Well, all the stuff for the man you can do, but for the woman, you've got to get on with it. Richard?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just obvious you have to talk about it early on, and then, you know, I think it's that important as you can, you know, there are a lot of people in the world, OK, and so you might think, oh, I've found the one person I'm with, but if you don't agree on something as basic as that, and if the woman, plenty of women in the late 30s don't want to have kids. I mean, if you got together and you said we both don't want kids, and then someone changes their mind, then you have to discuss again, you know. But that's the thing. So I mean, it's a complicated issue. But I think if you really want to have a child, that's your priority. And if the guy doesn't want to, you should move on. I think you can often tell in a relationship the guy is going to go, yeah, maybe in 5 years' time. That's never going to happen. So get out of that relationship if the baby's important to you.
Should a bloke who just starts dating a woman of this age, should he be aware? Should he be anticipating?
I think when you just start dating someone, you've just got to enjoy yourself and have fun and get on. You know, if you start worrying about those things, the relationship's never going to work anyway.
True.
So, you know, you've got to get to a point, wherever it is, a couple of months in, 3 or 6 months in, where you have that discussion. And then
It's not going to be like the first dinner, is it?
No. I think,
you know what I mean?
But, you know, but some people... one of my shows, I dated 50 women in 50 consecutive days, OK? And there was all different ages of women. And it was interesting with one of the women in her late 30s, it was just very much you made a decision, and we weren't even really doing it to find a partner, it was a kind of stunt, but she made a decision almost straight away in the date that I wasn't the kind of person she'd want to be with. You know, so I think when you sense that someone's just judging you that quickly, you know, you've got to just, in a relationship, you've just got to relax and have fun, and then you get to that point, whatever, but you have to start thinking about it seriously. And if one of the people isn't as serious about the relationship, or you want really different things from life, you have to move on. There are enough people in the world. Go and find someone who wants to have kids. If you want to have kids, don't, you know, force someone to have a child who doesn't want to have one. Because, you know, I mean, with joking aside, you're right. You know, that if someone gets into a relationship and doesn't want to have a kid, then that might lead to problems. You know.
Yeah. I'm really interested in where the bloke's head should be in this. For no particular reason. So over to you. Kirsty, what do people say?
First, we've got Sarah, and she's on line 1.
Sarah, morning.
Hello.
Hi there. So, where do you stand on this? What's your stance?
I think I feel pretty similar to some of the other guests in that if you don't feel the same on such an important topic, that, you know, clearly you're not meant to be together forever, but obviously not in the first date. But I actually advised a good friend of mine, an ex-boss actually, to dump somebody once. He had been going out with this lady for a few months, and I think he was about 37 at the time, and she was perhaps 39, a little bit older than him. And he was kind of saying, well, she's quite nice, I quite like her, I don't really want to hurt her feelings. And, you know, me and my other colleague from work, another girl, were saying, you know, this is ridiculous. She's getting on. I don't know exactly how she feels, but if you don't really care for her or want a future with her,
you must
whether
tell
that's
her.
children or whatever, you need to tell her quite quickly.
Absolutely.
And he seemed very surprised that we should be saying this, and we kind of ended up with the conversation developed, and we were kind of almost agreeing that there was a sliding scale of time that you had. If you meet somebody who's 21, you maybe spend a couple of years having fun and getting to know each other. But as you get on, perhaps you don't have years and years to decide whether this is...
And also, Sarah, because I think you're absolutely bang on this. This is kind of where I wanted to go. The thing that we're getting to here, I think, is that in the case of the bloke here, there's almost a sort of lack of awareness of the situation that a woman of 39 is in. And that's the bit, I suppose, as Mark said right at the beginning.
He basically seemed very surprised. And he was saying there should be a handbook for this. Somebody should tell me what I should do, because he thought he was being kind to her, not disappointing her. Whereas we were saying, no, she would thank you to let her go and take her fresh eggs to somebody else. She would thank you.
OK. Spare me the details, Sarah. Spare me the details. Catholic boy, don't really know. Thank you. But you bang on. Let's have another.
We have Claire on line 3.
Claire, good morning.
Hi.
Anything to add, Claire?
Yeah, I met my partner last March. He was 35, I was 41.
Right.
He had no children, I already did, but I knew he wanted children. And, I mean, there's no way that you would normally start thinking about children that early on in a relationship.
How early on? Weeks, months?
Oh, pretty much. First couple of months. And I knew, being the age I was, that things could be difficult this time round. Luckily, it happened the first month. So within 6-7 months, we were expecting, and our daughter was born this summer. So, yeah, it all worked out well and everything's good, but I knew for his sake that I had to think about it that early on in a relationship.
Can I ask, it's a very, very personal question, but I don't know. Is it in your mind that it may not be a life partner, but it's right at the time and that everything... No, I don't know what I'm saying here.
I think if I thought it wasn't going to be permanent, there's no I would have thought about it. But we knew pretty early on that it was going to be forever, hopefully. So yeah.
Okay.
I think there is no way you would normally think about it that early on, but the age thing has to, you know, sort of be a major factor.
And can I ask, before meeting this guy, previous partners just before, or previous partner or relationship just beforehand? Was there any... Did that, your desire to have a baby, did that in any way interfere with that relationship or cause it to...
No, I mean, my husband before that I had a daughter with anyway. And I never thought I was going to have more children after my daughter, who's now 7 and too much older. But again, for my partner's sake, I did it for him. I don't regret it. It was, you know, fantastic, and she's gorgeous. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about having another one at this stage.
OK, no, it's brilliant, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thank you, viewers, thank you. Short one coming up after the break. Love poems, are they for losers? If your other half or someone who fancied you were to send you a romantic ditty, would you think them sweet or seriously naff? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts. I can remember penning love poems on the bus, as I said, when I went to school. There's no way I'd do it now. What about you? Are love poems for losers? We'll find out after these ads.